So, a favorite teacher of mine, Eckhart Tolle, said, suffering is necessary until it's not. And it took me a while to really sit with that, to come to terms with what that meant, and the reality of um, that we create our own suffering. And when I say we, it's a global sense of we, a larger we, that we create our own suffering. And it's really an act of compassion. So I have a dog. He's a gorgeous chocolate lab named Bodhi, and and the truth of that statement really came through when I was walking him one day. So he's now older, but at a time he was 6 months and super energetic, curious about everything, and I'd be walking him, trying to get him leash trained. And so we're walking on the sidewalk, and then he'd dart to the side and like, oh, what's this? I gotta check it out. And then, oh, there's another dog over there. Oh, there's a person. I want to say hi. Oh, is that a leaf? And he gets so excited, and in a sense, it's gorgeous. Just so cute because he's a new life in this world, and he's so adorable. But every time he would do that, he's on the leash, and I have to pull him back. So so that became a problem. Not a big problem, but I'm imagining it from his perspective, that he's trying to go out and experience life, and yet as he's doing that, he's constantly getting this pressure against him, from the collar. And he could look back at me and just be spiteful or angry, or have a place of saying, why me? But that would only be because he doesn't realize that from my perspective, I'm correcting his behavior out of love. I want him to listen, to behave, because I can see maybe there's a car coming. Maybe that dog over there is not friendly, and I can tell. Maybe the other owner says, don't bring your dog here, and he doesn't understand that. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a cliff side, or whatever it might be. I have perspective that he doesn't, and so I'm constantly trying to orient him in a way that is safe for him. And and that's what I really think that life does a lot of the times, is that we seem to go after things that are not necessarily good for us. And and there's always repercussions. So while you are chasing after indulgences or running from your aversions, life will always reflect an orientating push against or towards what is in your best interest, and you just have to trust that. I mean, this kind of becomes a bigger question of the intelligence of the universe, but for the sake of this discussion, you just have to trust that this guidance is for your benefit, and it's an act of love and compassion. So so that's the thing, is that the suffering, as we will call it, is just the boundaries that life is using to push you, to orient you back into alignment with what is actually in your best interest for you. And in another part of the story, for for your highest purpose, and to serve your purpose for whatever your life might be. So at some point, when you accept this, then instead of needing to push against a boundary, you just allow life to guide you, and that's when the suffering no longer is necessary. Um, you know, you become sovereign in your own being. You patiently and um, with reserve can see what is good for you and what is not, and make wise decisions. And at that point, the boundaries, yeah, they dissolve. They're not necessary. So um, that, I would say, is the transition from a life of suffering to not suffering. And it'll be clear. It'll be more and more clear that you're transitioning and orienting into your purpose when the suffering shifts. Now, that doesn't mean suffering goes away completely, and for wherever I'm at in my life, it seems like, uh, you know, the big stuff goes away, but then there's little things, and there always seems to be a little something. I wouldn't say that there's no suffering in my life. That's just definitely not true. Um, but it changes, and it becomes much more acceptable, in a sense that it's a lesson to be appreciated, instead of um, almost being bullied by life and feeling like a victim. So, thanks for listening.